right, what are we talking about today? We are talking about public service announcement. I'm going to start with identity theft and account hacking. It always kind of, we're at the forefront, myself, Derek, other advisors here, just with, financial fraud, identity theft, things like that, and what you can do to protect yourself, like things that I like to just tell clients. So tell everybody that might be listening.
All right, let's hit them.
Yeah. And then we got what? We got the McRib and how it correlates with Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
I got some, and then
some real technical indicators here.
Yeah. And then we'll fact checked ourselves last week about gold, silver, and the Fed chair. And then we'll kind of cap it off with, what about the new investor that's out there? Are they ready for this market?
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right. So first and foremost, just the identity theft thing is I have seen it probably 2 or 3 times in my career, but it's very unique. I'll get some kind of email from a client. One time I got an email from a client. Just did not sound like that person. Like I've had multiple email communications, talked to this guy, and there's intimate relationship with my client. I just know who he is. Got an email saying, "Hey, Tony, I got cancer treatments coming up and I got to go to New York and all these things." And he's like, "I need 10 grand wired to me." And I'm like, that was the red flag right there. Like we have other means of transporting money to clients and things like that, that Schwab sets up. And so that hit a stop button. And I called him and said, "Hey, this is what's going on. What do you need?" He's like, "I didn't send that email." His email got hacked. And what happened was that person read months and months and months of emails and found that I have access to his money.
Yep.
And requested it, right? But that's one thing. So I had another client just recently. Their bank account got hacked. First thing I did is I called them like, "Hey, you're telling me you got a new account, all this stuff. Is this you? Did this really happen? Let me hear your voice. Let me hear, how you talk. I want to hear you, right? And I'm not taking anything on surface value of text, emails, anything. Like I'm going to get on the phone. Somebody asks me for something outside of the norm. That's what I do. Another client had his business account hacked. Just sent all this stuff over to change the accounts and all that stuff. Same thing. I'm like, it was just so abrupt and awkward and stuff. So like, again, that's how these hackers act and things like that. They can't. It's very difficult, I'd imagine, to impersonate their voice and tonality and how I've learned to come to know them. Right.
Right.
So, biggest thing I'm telling everybody out there right now is 2 things. If you haven't updated your personal email password in a while, you should consider it. Because if somebody gets in your email, you won't know until they start requesting stuff to other people that they find is important to you. And also one of the things that is always going to help prevent identity theft and opening accounts and hacking accounts and all this stuff is I freeze my credit. You can't do anything without credit. Yep. I freeze it on Experian and there's another one out there, Experian and
time something.
Yeah, freeze your credit. There's
I'll
2
come
of
up
them.
with it. LifeLock.
Well, I have LifeLock too.
You have LifeLock.
That just lets you know that you're applying for something, right? Essentially, that your credit was pulled. I locked down Experian. That's the main one. And then Derek's looking it up now. But go and freeze your credit and just know if you got to go you're going to open a new credit card, you're going to buy a new car, whatever it may be, just know that you got to unfreeze it because they're not going to be able to get anything. So we'll think of that. Is it Securian? No.
There's a bunch. Aura, I've not heard of that one, but that's number 1 here. AURA, Identity Guard, Experian, Identity Defense. So yeah, My FICO, the Privacy Guard. So yeah, these are all good ideas if you're worried about it, and especially like our client demographic, I would say, other than maybe like financing a car or something like that. You don't need to have your credit open because you're not, sending kids to school or buying a new house, things like that. So, if you're worried about it, those services do offer pretty good peace of mind to know that, because, well, this is what I wanted to say. It's people think out there, like, someone gets a hold of like your social security number and your account number, that they're just going to go into your account and take all the money out. Like that's pretty much impossible to do. The way that scammers and hackers get access to your stuff is like what Tony was describing. So impersonating you in some way to try to get money or to try to get credit. So they get your information, try to take out a loan in your name, essentially. Right. So those are the two big things you want to watch out for. And like Tony said, that those are things that you can help prevent by doing annoying stuff like changing your passwords,
or locking your credit. And then the other one, so I said Experian, Equifax. That those are the two that I have locked down personally. And then I also have LifeLock. Because unfortunately, you hear the horror stories of identity theft, and it's just miserable. From what I understand, it wrecks everything, wrecks your credit. You can't repair it correctly or fast enough and things like that. So public service announcement on that. All right.
That was a good one. That was a good one to bring up.
And I know we've done it before in the past, and I'll continue to do it because it's just so important, in my opinion. All right. Next thing is we're going to just fact check. Last week we talked about silver and gold and buyer beware, and man, literally a couple days later, like over the weekend, like gold and silver just fell off a cliff, and then it bounced back. So I mean, if you're in the high volatility and high entry points and all-time highs, then gold and silver is exactly, I got something for you. Right. So again, continue to look at that as a position to just be aware of, and maybe wait or even look into maybe some of, like, maybe not gold and silver like GLD, SL, the iShare exposure. Maybe look into the miners, right? Like they usually run in tandem, but not as much because they actually are real companies and are out there mining, and they have to make profits to support their price on the stock market, right?
Yep, for sure.
And then we talked about the Fed chair really quick. Well, we were wrong on that guy. Literally the next day, that was wrong. But Kevin Warsh, is that was the new Fed chair? It just needs Senate approval as of from what I understand. But man, he got some challenges. Expected to cut rates. Based on the president's wants. So it is now is the Fed was always supposed to be an independent branch of everybody and everything. You got economists all upset because if you lower interest rates, that could spark inflation, all these things, right?
Yep.
And then are they still independent? So that's just a quick fact check. But D, let's move on to Bitcoin, because that's another fun topic always. You sent me something on the correlation.
Technical indicators, right? Yeah. I'm a big chart guy. So, basically the last 3 Bitcoin rallies have perfectly coincided with the release of the McRib. And guess what's coming out here in a couple weeks? The McRib. Yep.
So I did a little backstory on this. So I looked to see when the last times they released the McRib. They are actually behind schedule. They did it in 2022, and that was I didn't even look at 22, but I looked at 23 and 24. So I'm looked at the last two, because 22 was supposed to be the Fellwell tour, like, adios McRib, this is the last time you're going to be.
Oh yeah, that's right, I do remember that.
That was that. And then they came out in 23, 24, and now they skipped 25 because they didn't do it had a November of 23 and November of 24, and now they're bringing out in February of 26. They missed a few months, right? So, but in November of 2023, and I'm just looking at November 1st. Bitcoin was at like 3,500 or 35,000, and it went to 71 by March. That's a pretty good return in for like a couple months. So it doubled. November of 24, if it is crazy because like November of 24 was at 70,000, went to 100 within 6 weeks.
Yep.
But if they would have waited and came out in December, you would have got your teeth kicked in. But again, timing is everything when picking. So they are coming out now with February, and we're back at 75,000 on Bitcoin.
Yep.
And it got, it was all-time high at 120, but not that long ago. So 3 months ish, roughly.
Yep.
What do we,
Yeah, so, it's like the meme with James Franco on the gallows about to get hung. And it says, basically he talks to the next to him and says, first time. Like this is what Bitcoin does. So, you either try to day trade Bitcoin and try to, catch some lightning in the bottle, or you just own it. That's kind of how I feel about it. I was joking, obviously, a little bit about the McRib, but the technical chart on Bitcoin.
Were you though?
I'm not really. I'm just trying to sound smart. The chart on Bitcoin, just almost completely, perfectly matches the last rally in Bitcoin, and that was where at the end of 2023, like Tony was talking about. It does line up with the McRib, but the technical chart is almost identical with the drawdown. The real technical analysis. So
I did see something like that. They overlaid it.
Yes, exactly.
I did see that as well. So this is no endorsement to push your chips in on Bitcoin. We're just kind of talking about it. I have thought about it personally with my own account. I don't know if I'm going to do anything or not. We'll see. I'm still waiting for the dust to settle. Like a lot of shorts were, called, and a lot of liquidation was happening. And then you read everything again, the Twitter sphere, X,
there's
like, the diamond hands from day one. We're best friends with Kobayashi or whatever his name is. Not Kobayashi, but whatever, the hot dog.
He's a hot dog guy.
Not Kobayashi. The guy that invented Bitcoin that no one knows. He's a guy behind the curtain.
Yep.
Been invested since that guy invented Bitcoin. They're selling out. I'm like, because they're worth billions of dollars. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I saw one whale that was holding from the beginning, sold for like $850 billion.
Yeah. Well, but if they're so worried about that, like, all right, what fiat did you buy? Did you buy dollars?
Right, exactly.
Or is it in Canada money, like Japan? They're sitting in dollars, and if like you're selling because like it doesn't make a lot of sense because you're in Bitcoin because it's the alternative currency or whatever. Then you see whispers like, oh man, XRP, which is a one of the newer Bitcoins, but they're making such a big deal that that's going to be the real.
They're pushing it hard on Twitter. That's
right.
For sure.
They're talking about it a lot. So, all right. Well, all right, man. Well, maybe I'll just go get a McRib just because.
Yeah. Buy some Bitcoin, get a McRib, see what happens.
See what happens.
But yeah, that's why.
I'm going to keep my mouth shut about what I'm about to say. We'll throw that right in the toilet, both of them.
Yeah. Gross.
I said it.
All right. So yeah, that's when a couple weeks ago I said like gold and silver were kind of behaving like Bitcoin with like the wild swings, and then we saw a 30% drop in silver. So we're by no means taking a victory lap on gold and silver at all.
No.
It's going to be a volatile asset class, and that's just not how it's supposed to work, and that's why it's concerning.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I'm like, hey, it's definitely not it's just like what the backside of a parabolic curve looks like is messy.
Yep, for
right?
sure.
So again, it could still continue to go higher, but expect the volatility and the swings are immense.
Yep.
Right. All right, and then one last topic. I think you brought this up, D, is like, new investors, right? How much experience do they have in investing, especially if they started in the last 5 years, right? They've only seen really good stuff with minimal. The swings weren't months or years long on the down. Like if there was a correction, it was
pretty short.
Yep. Right. And I think like Mark brings this up a lot. Like when there's a fundamental breakdown of the economy, banks, but all these things, the correction curve to get back to even takes months, if not years, right?
Yep.
It takes it can take 9 months to get back to even, if not longer.
Yep.
But when it's a policy correction, somebody said something in tariffs.
Right.
It was a policy change. Look how fast we bounce back in like 6 weeks, right? I mean, there's a difference on what's going on. So the new investor. So I'll let you brought the topic up, but I don't think we're going to see, knock on wood, but I don't see we're going to see a huge fundamental breakdown anytime soon. Everything is still in line with earnings growth and unemployment and things like that are going to push the economy forward. If anything's going to be, it's going to be these short corrections.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was just looking around for stuff to talk about. I thought it was just a pretty interesting thought to have, because you see these massive swings now, and you did not see them when we were first starting in this business. But we have not seen since really 2012, 13 in there, when it was kind of banging around the market. We have not seen a huge correction, and then we just stay down in that correction territory for a long time. So there is a whole generation of people that do not know how to react to that. So it will be interesting. We always talk about diamond hands as well. I think it's important to have a strategy, right? We always talk about this. I'm not sure if the younger generation has a strategy, but you always want to have something to kind of fall back on. You always want to have, sell a limit of, hey, I'm only going to ride this down so far before I sell.
Yeah.
You have to have those things in place. And you have to not panic, and that's what we see nowadays. So the gold and silver is a great example. People were panic buying that for several months before it came crashing down. Now it's coming back. Will it come back again? Will it have another crash? It's very hard to know these things before they happen when they're dependent on policy, like Tony was talking about. They hire a different Fed chair than everyone thought. That guy is more into a stronger dollar, and that was one of the catalysts that came that sent gold and silver crashing down. So
right.
You have to understand kind of the nuances of the market and understand that it's just not going to go up forever, and that's the overall market. But those are individual positions too. So having a plan, taking profits are things that we haven't necessarily seen from the younger generation. So it's an important thing to keep in mind when you see these big swings now, to really stay true to your strategy.
Right. The mentality, I would say, like older investment styles, like the Warren Buffett, slow and steady wins the race.
Yep.
Unfortunately, probably the last 5 years is instant gratification.
Yeah.
Wow, how can I double my money in a month? Like that's not. If you think a 7% rate of return is good, then it should take you 10 years to double your money.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? The rule of 72 says that, right? So having a broadened out investment strategy versus owning 5 stocks and being all in, right? Yep. Having a basket of maybe 50 or 60 stocks or index funds if you're starting off, things like that. That's the big difference, right? And then you mentioned it, like having I'll call it a tap out, thing, like, hey, if something goes down more than 20%, I'm out. Right. Something along them lines. Having not riding it to zero, right? But also not freaking out if it's down 8% in a day.
Right.
Did you hit your 20% thing that you told yourself in the mirror that you're going to hold to yourself to? ? So, yeah, then the next time could be some scary moments and panic selling. Right. So. Nothing's on our. We're not bringing it up because it's on our radar. It's more of it's just something that we thought of and be like, man, when the stuff hits the fan, how will people react? And I know some older investors that panic, like hit the panic button. I've seen that, right? So, but again, we're not saying that something's coming or I was reading all the stuff as Bitcoin and gold and silver were crashing over the weekend. Like, wait for Monday, and Monday was a
exactly.
great day. It was up like 1%.
I saw all those too.
Yeah, it's like, man, wait for like the market's gonna go to cut in half, a Black Monday event kind of thing, right? Luckily, we have the circuit breakers, you know, in the market where, you know, I think the first circuit breaker is minus 8% in a day, and then if it goes down another 2 to 10, it like just shuts off for the day. So we have all of those. So, but anyway, all right, D.
All right, well, thanks everyone for listening this week.
Because we get news almost instantaneously, live feeds. Who knows? Maybe the McRib won't be coming out. The McDonald's getting sued for saying the McRib doesn't have real pork. I mean, I could argue, do they use real beef in their hamburgers? I don't know. You ever see those things? They're like, hey man, I lost that double cheeseburger behind my oven, and I found it a year later, and there's no mold on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That seems weird. So it's gone?
No,
well,
it's
going to change my investment strategy now.
I mean, it came back in January. It sounds like they're pushing through all this, so.
All right, we'll have a McRib update next week. But thanks everyone for listening. If you guys have questions, comments, ideas for a show, hit us up at info@swpconnect.com, and we'll talk to you next week.
The opinions expressed in the podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any investment, legal, financial, or tax strategy. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. Please consult a qualified professional about your individual needs.